Alrighty, so this is all about fat, juicy deals. We appreciate everyone signing up on our site to work with us, to join our team. Alex and I have put together a system that we feel will really be beneficial for everybody involved, everybody that wants to join our team. So I'm going to share my screen and show my presentation so that we can see what this is all about. At the end, we're going to have a Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to either put them into the chat and we'll address them at the end of the presentation, or you can go ahead and raise your hand at the end of the presentation and we'll go over any questions that you have. So what is this about? What's the Fat Juicy Deals concept all about? It's all about getting rolling fast, having the support of a team, providing you a growth path, and getting paid well in the process. Everyone, the majority of us in a way, have gone through the Elephant Challenge, which has taught us how to use Privy to make offers for on-market deals, MLS deals. But there are some challenges that people have run into when trying to work this system. It takes too long to get going and to do deals. We found a lot of people that are analyzing deals incorrectly. They may feel it's a deal, they made an offer, but they're not really getting the right figures. So either it's too tight, there's not enough profit in the deal, or they tried to put too much profit in the deal and they're not getting the contract. So analyzing is really critical to making this work. A lot of times the deals that people are analyzing are hard to dispo. They might be too rural, where there's no fix and flips going on, or in this market, not too many buyers want to do guts or destroy teardowns because it's a little bit risky. The market might turn against them by the time the project is done. So as well, there's over 6,000 in the Elephant Challenge now, but everyone is kind of doing their own thing. So there's no organized, there are some organized efforts, but the idea behind this is to build a fluid, organized effort. And then another problem people have is inexperience. They feel like they're getting some input once a month or through the Discord, but they may get analysis paralysis and not make the action that they need to make money. And then simply the inefficiencies of working on your own or as duo teams versus an assembly line type of a system. So we want to look at those problems and figure out how to resolve each one of these. And that's what our system is all about. But first, the question, can you make good money with MLS properties using Privy? So some people have felt like it's really not possible to make good money on market deals. But we're going to show you the proof of concept that you've already seen some of this. Michelle Garavito and Paul Nelson, they're making high 6 to 7 figures annually, but they're working part-time. They're traveling the world. Every month they go to a new country. Right now they're in Greece. Mahmoud, he works very part-time. He's making about 1.2 million a year, and he has a JV network feeding him deals. Ryan Solon, he's making about 1.2 million just in wholesaling, but that's not all he does. So he makes about 6 million in addition to that, in addition to the wholesaling efforts by fix and flips and his own real estate agency. So these are the proof of concepts. They're all using Privy and they're making 7 figures doing it. But what we did is looked at each one of their concepts and how they built their business and tried to figure out how we could actually improve on what they've done in their building process. So this is what our goals are for our company. Number one, to help newbies come in and learn super fast and make 6 figures within 2 or 3 months. not a year down the road, but very quickly with this system be able to produce. Number two is that there's a growth path. So when you start out as a property finder, you can make 6 figures, but then you can very quickly move to become acquisition and make 300K, and then into disposition and make $1 million, and then into being a team manager and make 3 million. With the others, you saw that Mahmood and Ryan, they're both making 1.2 million, but there's no, for the people working with them, there's no growth path. With Michelle and Paul, it's kind of the same. They keep a tight hand on the dispo. So you can make good money with them, but you won't be able to manage your own team unless you build out what they've built out. So the idea here is that people can progress. They can start out as a property finder and then move into acquisition and then move into disposition and then move into a team manager right within the same system, so that you can, and as well as to take out the inefficiencies of what they're doing and build a system that will allow you to make 3 million as a team manager. For some, they might not want that responsibility. They might be happy with the 1 million at disposition or wherever you want to be. But the idea is that this system's built out so that you can progress to whatever level you desire to be. Number third goal is to remove the time wasters. Working on bad deals that aren't going to close, overlaps, because if you have 6,000 people making offers once a month, there's a lot of overlaps. And there's been times where the agents have said, you know, what's going on? I've got like 20 offers today on this. So with this, any property finders will have their own territory, and they won't be overlapped with other property finders within our system. That way it takes out that overlap, and you know that you're not working on the same thing somebody else is. And then number 3, the inefficiencies of how you're doing the work. The idea here is to make it efficient, like an assembly line, so that you can make the most for your time. And then the 4th goal is to create a quality deal stream. So as this stream flows, we want it to be a steady flow so that you know that you got another deal, another lead coming in the door, and you don't have to wonder what tomorrow is going to bring. We want it to be a steady flow so that everyone gets a consistent workflow and a consistent paycheck, and that it's easy to dispo, so that the deals coming in through this workflow are not deals that are going to be hard or challenging to dispo. They're people at the beginning of the funnel are working on deals that'll be easy at the end of the funnel. So here's the benefits for everybody involved. For the newbies, they get the personal attention that they need to become productive fast. We'll show you how in a few minutes, but the idea is that everyone gets the personal attention they need to move forward to the next level, to get productive, to make 100K with their streamlined tasks. So a newbie doesn't have to worry about everything. They don't have to worry about negotiating and closing and disposition. They can just worry about the one thing of making offers and building rapport. And then also that they're pursuing the right deals that are closable, that are they can easily be disposed, not the wrong deals. For acquisition, their benefits is that they get that stream of pre-filtered for motivation. When the newbies are doing their workflow, which is to make offers, then the acquisition team gets that steady flow of the offers already being made, and they're not wasting time with realtors that don't want, or I should say sellers that don't want to negotiate. They're working with the ones that do want to negotiate, and their objective is simply to negotiate and close. For the dispo team, they should have a steady deal stream coming to them so that they don't have to go finding those deals. The deals are in the system for them. They just go to their inbox, find the next, go to the next deal and dispo. And they're all working together in our system with a pooled buyers list. So as everyone's working the buyers list, it becomes easier and easier to dispo because they begin to recognize the brand, Fat Juicy Deals, and everyone working the system is using the same list, so we're all able to keep it warm, and that way they're easier to dispo and they can make 7 figures. The fourth one is the team manager. So each team manager will have his own dispo people, his own acquisition, and his own property finders. And they'll be able to basically be like a Keegly. So Keegly has franchises. So you can buy a Keegly franchise in a state, but with this, you'll have your own team, kind of like a Keegly, but you won't have to pay for it. You don't have the risk involved with buying a franchise, and you're able to make a multiple 7 figures, 3 times the amount that Ryan and Mahmood made because of the way the system is built out. So here is the funnel, basically. So in a deal funnel, you start with the offers, and then you go to contracts, and then you go to deals, and then you go to the paycheck, right? So the formula that Pace and Jamil and Jerry Norton have all outlined is 100 offers should equal 4 contracts, should equal 2 deals. When you're starting out, it might just equal 1 deal. But even as a new person, as you're learning this, it should equal a deal. 100 offers equals 1 deal. But as you gain experience, you'll work your way up to 2 deals. As you may have heard in the Elephant Challenge, that was the formula that was mentioned. So the idea here is that everyone's working their role, and the more experienced ones are working in dispo and able to dispo more of those contracts. And the feedback is put all the way back through the system, so that only good contracts are made, so that we can dispo more of the deals. So 2 deals for every 100 offers is totally doable with this system. The goal is that we do 100 for each team. Each team should be able to do 10,000 offers because of the people underneath them, which equals 400 contracts, which should equal 200 dispoed deals. So that's the goal for each team. Making offers is the heart of it all. It starts with offers, and you don't want to be afraid to make offers. That was what Pace was trying to get everyone to do in the Elephant Challenge, is just get out there and don't be afraid, just make an offer. Nothing's bad is going to come if you just simply make an offer. So that's the beginning of the whole process. Jerry Norton said, the purpose of making an offer is not to get deals. We make offers to uncover a motivated seller. So that's the idea of an offer, is if they actually respond to that offer, then we know that they're motivated and they're willing to work with you. So if somebody's making 20 offers a day, not all of them are going to respond. Not all of them are going to negotiate, but just a fraction of them, maybe a quarter of them will actually negotiate. So that's a filter. So the first filter is within Privy. You filter with the ARV %, with the days on market, but the secondary level of filtering is simply the offer itself. If they respond back, if they're willing to negotiate, that's a motivational filter. And that's what Jerry Norton meant by that. We make offers to uncover or filter the motivated sellers. And that's why he said that the most important KPI in acquisitions is making offers. So that's what we're doing here, is we're setting a goal for the property finders, which is the first level, of simply making the offers. That's their KPI. Jerry Norton said that, and he showed how you can make 5 offers in less than 1 hour. Jamil and Ryan Solon showed how you can make 10 offers in under 2 hours. Both of those equations equal 5 offers in an hour, or if you multiply that by an 8-hour day, 40 offers per day. We built our numbers not on 40 offers per day, but on 20 offers per day, because we want to make sure that, this is a totally realistic number. Even though Jamil and Ryan and Jerry have all shown it to be possible, we want to buffer our number so much to make sure that there's no question that this can be done. So instead of making a KPI of 40 a day, our KPI for a full-time is 20 a day, or for a part-time, 10 offers per day. And here's how the whole system flows, looking at it from right to left. The right column is the property finders. Their KPI is putting in 20 offers per day. Their goals are to build rapport with the agents and to filter for motivation by putting in those offers. There are basically 3 property finders per acquisition manager. So the acquisition manager can watch what the property finders are doing. The acquisition manager needs to have more experience in acquisition, so he can see what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. He's able to help them if they're not putting in the right offers, to help them to adjust so that those property finders can learn quickly. And at the same time, he is negotiating and closing any of the deals that are working their way through the system due to the offers of the property finders. And he's building rapport with those same agents. So he should be able to accomplish easily 12 contracts per week if he has 3 full-time property finders working underneath him. 3 part-time or 6, 3 full-time or 6 part-time property finders. So after him, it goes into Dispo. With Dispo, their goal is 18 deals per week if they have 3 acquisition managers underneath them. So that now you can see the team being built up. So a Dispo should have 9 full-time property finders underneath him feeding in offers, 3 full-time acquisition, or it might be 6 part-time, feeding in contracts, and then he can close, his goal is to close 18 deals per week, and that's at a 50% close rate. Now, if there's 50% close rate is 18 deals, the idea is that we keep those KPIs and try to improve on them. So if there's multiple Dispo agents or Dispo managers, we can compare what we're doing with each other in our team, in our system, and try to improve on it. So if one Dispo manager is doing a 50% Dispo rate, and another is doing a 60%, and another is doing a 65%, we can all compare notes to do better, so that hopefully we can improve and go from 50 to 60 to 70 to maybe 80% Dispo rate. Part of that is the quality of the stream. So if the offers being made or the negotiations and closings being made are not really good, maybe they're not in a good area, or maybe there's just not a lot of meat on the bones, they're going to be harder to Dispo. Or if their renovations are really hard to accomplish, like a gut or a tear down, they're going to be hard to Dispo. So that feedback is going to keep going all the way down the chain to make sure that everything flows smoothly to the Dispo side. And then on the manager side, the team manager or regional manager, their goal is to watch all the KPIs of everybody underneath them and help out wherever it's needed. So if they have 3 Dispo managers underneath them and the Dispos are struggling with their timeline to get them Dispo'd on time, the team manager will step in and help them Dispo. So they have a goal of 200 deals per month for their entire team. So if they have 3 Dispos underneath them, then they'll be helping those Dispos close as needed, or giving them training or guidance so that the whole team flows smooth. and the percentage of dispos are always being improved upon, and that the dollar amount per contract is also solid. We'd much rather do $15,000 wholesale fees than $5,000 wholesale fees. So he's watching those KPIs and helping and training through his whole team to make sure that everything grows smoothly. So he might have a particular region or market like Dallas, and then he has maybe 3 dispos underneath him in Dallas. One, it looks like the verbiage got off on here, but the first dispo might be doing privy MLS work. The second dispo might be doing FSBO, for sale by owner, and the third might be doing pre-foreclosure. But he'll have all of that underneath him for Dallas so that he can keep that Dallas market flowing. Now, as this grows, there's going to be multiple markets. So we'll have a Dallas manager, a Memphis manager, a Phoenix manager, a Fort Lauderdale, Atlanta, different markets. And underneath each one of those team managers, then you'll have your dispo and your acquisition and your property finders. So everything should flow from the top all the way down. I should say from the bottom all the way up for the deal flow. And then all of those team managers can talk together. We'll all communicate on a regular basis and see how it's going and what we can learn from each other and improve our numbers. And then at the very top, our goal is to have an operator that's monitoring all of these. Initially, Alex and I will be doing that. We'll be working in the business, making sure everything runs smoothly, helping out at every level, helping out the property managers, the acquisition, the dispo, and the team managers. But as this grows, the acquisition, as they learn their job and the property manager job, they'll be helping out their own property manager. Dispo will be helping out their own acquisition team. And then the regional manager or team manager will be helping out the dispo and all the way down. That way, Alex and I can work on growing the business, starting up new markets, starting up new channels like FSBO and foreclosure and probate. And that way there's room for growth and everyone has an opportunity to move up. So you don't have to feel like you're stuck at the bottom. Our idea is to keep growing this out so that you have a continual path of improvement. So there'll be room for you to move from one level to the next, to the next, to the next. So here's the deal breakdown that allows everyone to make that money. The property finder makes 11% of the deal, and the acquisition manager makes 13% of the deal. But he's able to triple what the property finder makes because he has 3 people underneath him, more than triple actually. Disposition is at 15%, and again, more than triple because he has 3 acquisition underneath him. The manager, team manager, again, triples the disposition because he has 3 underneath him. The idea of the 3-to-1 is that you don't have a huge team underneath you. You have 3, or if they're part-time, up to 6, so that you have time to work with them and help them. And that way, your team is solid. If you have 200 people underneath you, like that's the way that Mahmoud does it, he has 200 JVs feeding him deals. But I can guarantee you the vast majority of those people are not feeding him deals regularly. Otherwise, his numbers would be way, way higher. So we want to build a quality team, not necessarily the quantity. So we will build quantity over time, but the idea is that there's a 3-to-1 ratio so that training and help is there to make sure that everybody in the system is successful. And then in addition to the manager, the gator lenders will be making about 10%. Of course, it depends on the deal because, gator lenders typically make a certain amount for the money that they put into the deal. Same thing with transaction coordinators. They'll be making about 8%. System administrator, We have already with us Mike Jones, who's going to be handling our systems, our CRM, and our other systems to make sure everything is set up properly, and adding new people into the system, getting you set up with your emails, and any problems, challenges, he'll be there to make sure that flows smoothly. We're going to be getting a bookkeeper, an accountant that will also be making about 1%. And then as we're able to establish, we're going to put in an operator, so that the operator will be over all of the team managers, so that Alex and I can step out and work on growing this whole system into multiple markets and multiple channels. So it's set up so that everybody makes their fair share. For Alex and I, once we split the 17% and we put in the overhead and marketing profit, we're going to be making basically the exact same amount as the operator. So we're not trying to make more than you guys. We're trying to set it up so that everybody has a growth path, and that as you grow, you can make more and more and more money in this system. It's built for all of you and all of us. So this is the next step. If you're interested, you can go to fatjuicydeals.com/count-me-in, and there's a form to fill out there so that we know that you've gone through this introductory Zoom and you are interested in joining us. And from there, once you sign that form saying, yes, count me in, we will send you a JV agreement. We're still waiting on the LLC. It should be out hopefully in a week, and then or less. Once we have that out, actually at the tail end of this week, we should have that, and we'll send you that JV agreement so that all the paperwork will be ready. And then on Monday, we're going to start doing training. We're going to start with the top level, which is the lead managers. I should say the team managers. The team managers, we're going to show them what their role is more specifically, and also have them available for the next training, which is the dispo managers. And then after we do the dispo manager training, they can also be available for the acquisition manager training. And then after that will be the property finder training. So that as we go down this, the training path, everyone who's responsible for helping out those underneath them will know what's involved with the training of the ones underneath them, because they can be present for that follow-up training. So all 4 of those trainings we're going to do on Monday, and then we'll be able to start rolling. Our goal is to start rolling Monday. So Mike's going to be working hard to get all that set up right after this. Everyone that's interested that wants to do the deals can go to fatjuicydeals.com/count-me-in. And then we're going to take those, and Mike's going to start inputting them into the system. And we're going to be setting up your emails. Everyone will have their emails within the system, the phone numbers, everything involved, so that we can start ASAP, hopefully Monday. We're going to definitely do the training Monday. And then hopefully we can start the workflow Monday as well. All right, so we have a number of questions here. Alex, you want to go ahead and start going through the questions?
Yeah, I was answering them on the way down. Let's see here. Belinda asks, what time are the trainings?
We haven't established those times yet.
To be determined.
What's your guys's schedules? I know there's people from all over the world, including Japan. We want to make it as flexible as possible, but we want to also be able to start work Monday if we can. So if we can do the trainings earlier in the day, starting with the lead managers, or I should say the team managers, that would be helpful. And then from the team manager, move on to dispo. And maybe by the time we get to property managers, we're in the afternoon Eastern time, because that will be, an appropriate time for the majority of the people on the West Coast. Most people are probably East Coast, but there's still a lot of West Coast. So I'm thinking maybe we can start at going our first training maybe at 10 a.m. For the team, and 10:30, no, 10, 11, 12, and 1. 10, 11, 12, 1. What do you think, Alex? Do you think that'll work for the majority of people? And everybody here, what's your input on that? 10, 11, 12, 1?
Yeah, that's fine. I think just
Okay.
because of the West Coast, we just have to kind of be mindful of the time frames.
Yeah. So 1 o'clock would be the property finders, which the vast majority here will be property finders. And that would be what, 10 a.m. Pacific. So 9 a.m. Pacific would be the acquisition, and 8 a.m. Pacific would be dispo.
So
And
what
7
we'll
a.m.
do is
Pacific.
when everybody signs up and we get the emails, we'll put the times in there
Yeah,
and get everybody on the correct times.
right. There's only going to be 1 or 2, maybe 3 team leaders to start with. We want, most people to start at the beginning that, they don't have the experience yet. They're going to start at the beginning as property finders, but those that have experience in acquisition can go right into acquisition. Those that have experience with disposition can go straight into disposition. And if they have a lot of experience with acquisition and disposition, and they've done a lot of deals and they have time available, then there's limited slots right now to go into a team manager, but more slots will open because every week we're recruiting more people. I'm doing the deal or no deal every week and inviting more people to join our team. Alex is reaching out every week, inviting more people to join our team. So as this builds, there'll be more room for more and more lead managers, dispo, acquisition, and the beginning of it all, which is property finders. Go ahead, Alex, with more questions.
Yeah, we just answered Marcel's question about the timing to add people on. We can add people on at any time. The choice is going to be yours whenever you have time to fill out the forms. So timing doesn't matter, just whenever you're ready. Somebody works a 9 to 5, well, then that's fine. I know somebody asked me earlier about part-time. You can come in on part-time, that's not a problem. Full-time or part-time, the choice will be yours if you work a full-time job. Part-time is fine, it's just gonna kind of be up to you, especially if you want to come in as a deal finder. Just come in whenever you want, just let us know. Again, just fill out the form. The form has each stage on it, so when you do fill it out, we'll get that, and then we'll put you in the proper places in the system.
Yeah, before we move on from that, a couple of points. Number one, there is training involved and there's resources involved for every person. So if somebody can only devote 1 or maybe 2 hours a day, their growth path is going to be very limited. So they'll start out as property finders.
Mhm.
There's not really a position for 1 to 2 hours a day for the other positions, especially because as you get more responsibility and you have a team underneath you, they're depending upon you. So depending on what you want to do, we're more flexible on the property finder side than especially at the team management side. However, the second point is we don't want to have this like a corporate world where you have to be devoted 9 to 5 or something like that. We want to have some flexibility in this. A lot of people get into this because of the flexibility and the lifestyle that you can have with real estate investing. And we don't want to lose sight of that. Now, I was in engineering before. I left engineering for that very reason, because I don't like the grind that they put you in the corporate world. So the idea here is not to create such a hard routine that you're not going to enjoy it. We want everyone to enjoy it, but there is some time commitment. So, at least 3 hours for anything above property finders is what we're requesting.
Yes, 3 to 4 hours, correct.
All right, go ahead, Alex.
All right, let's see. Yes, the trainings, everything that we do here and going forward will be recorded for Jason. And so we'll have those sent out as well. So you don't miss anything. We know everybody's not going to be able to make every training and every situation. So we'll make sure we record everything and get them out to you. For Pamela, will we be working under the umbrella of a LLC? For the start, that's what we're getting together now to make sure that we are working together. So we are going to have an LLC and everybody's going to have a JV agreement. I believe that's what Ralph spoke on earlier. And once we get that going, everybody would have to sign that JV agreement, and it's just to keep us all together and just make sure everybody's on the same page. There's nothing that's long-term or life, we're gonna hold you for life or anything. But it's just so we can all just get started properly. That's it. There's not too many more questions. It's just kind of that was pretty much
So
the
I
last.
see Jennifer Pena had put in here, or Jennifer, sorry.
This one.
I hope I'm not slaughtering your name.
It's right. It's correct. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. You mentioned an example of a deal and dollars and percent distributions. Was that clear now? I don't know if you put that in the middle of the presentation or after we went through it, Jennifer?
It was after. I wanted to get like a sense, like, let's say, we get a deal on the table, like how would it look number wise? Like how would the cake be divided? Like you mentioned the percentages, but like.
So you want to know if there was a $15,000 standard fee, what
Yeah,
would the actual payout be on the percentages?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so if you can show that again, Ralph?
yeah, that percentage breakdown.
Yeah. So hold on one second here. Let me get this going.
And while he's doing that, usually the standard wholesale fee is about $15,000 right now. So that's kind of where the standard is going to be. And then it's going to be breakdown off of 15,000 off of these percentages.
Okay. You guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So for, hold on one second here. All right, so first I'll do property finder, 15,000.
Yeah. And before you start that, if everybody has a calculator, if you want to kind of follow along of a position that you want to be in, you can kind of see what you will make off of the deal that he's about to go through.
So for each deal of a property finder, it would be about $1,650 for a 15K deal. Of course, if it's a 10K deal, $1,100. So you can just take that percent and multiply it by the fee, by the wholesale fee. Whatever we're taking in, that's the, you'll get a percentage of that amount. And our goal is not to waste any contracts. Of course, there's always going to be a percent that don't close. The national average is 50%. Our goal is to take that up as high as we can. If we could bring it to 95, we'll bring it to 95%. I don't know what the limit is as far as possibility, but a lot of it has to do with how well the contracts are formed in the first place, and where they're formed, the type of properties. So our goal is to take that percent as high as possible, but of each, as well as the fee for each deal. But one of the things we're looking at is if the dispos are not able to dispo it. So a team manager might have 3 dispos underneath them, and all 3 of them can't dispo it. The dispo managers tried to help them. Our lists aren't working. We're calling we're finding new buyers. None of them are accepting. Our last ditch resort is going to be going to a third party like Keegley and saying, hey, will you take this? And if we have to do that, if we have to go out of our internal buyers list and go to Keegley, then of course the fee will be cut in half. So instead of, if it was going to be 15,000, 11% of 15,000, then it would be 11% of 7,500, because we will only be seeing half of the number we would have seen. So, but the goal is to dispo them all internally so that we'll all double our paychecks that way, as opposed to having to go outside. So we want to keep as much as possible internal with a solid dispo team. So that was property finder. I'm going to take now the 13% times 15,000. That would be 1950 for acquisition, 2250 for disposition, and 2550 for manager. Does that answer your question?
I got a question.
Yeah.
How do we know that we're not going to be getting the same deals or looking at the same things? Like, for instance, you might have, sorry. No, I was just saying that if we're all working, together as far as property finders, what if we're looking at the same deal and submit the same offer? How do we know that?
Right. So every property finder will be given his own area to work within, so that they're not overlapping. So yeah, instead of having everyone choose their own, we'll assign a property finder an area to work, and that way they're not overlapping.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, that's good. Okay, all right.
Good question. Anybody else?
There's been a couple other questions about Gator lending.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
There's been a few different questions about Gator lending, and I mean, some of us here are Gator lenders already, and it would be I think, I'm not going to speak on behalf of Ralph or Alex. I'm just saying it is a very unique situation for each deal, and I would say that would fall really on excuse me, really on either the acquisitions or disposition side to reach out to the Gator lenders to get that funded. I'd be happy to assist with that since I'm already super active on that level, but I don't think there's a hard and fast rule we're following yet. We just, every deal that comes in, we've got 2,000 plus Gator lenders to select between. So it's not going to be that hard to pull somebody in, fund the EMD. It's not going to have to come out of the structure's pocket. It'll just be, that's why we're accounting for the percentage in that breakdown, so that the Gator lender gets paid out. It's going to have more consistency in volume, so they don't have to necessarily charge fees quite as high as they might normally.
Yeah. So initially, as we're growing, there's going to be no way that Fat Juicy Deals is going to be able to handle the EMD ourselves. It's just not possible. So our goal is that, eventually we'll be able to handle it, but especially as we're in a growth path, which we expect to be in a growth path for a very long time, we want the Gator lenders, if at all possible, there's a lot of signups for Gator. So you can be property finder, acquisition, dispo, team manager, and be a Gator. It's not a problem to do both. And we'd rather it come from within us than outside. So,
and that's why we're building this part of it now, is because as Pace teaches us, we all want to be a community. So we want to structure everything so everybody that's inside the community, we build with them first, and then we start to build outwards. So that's the goal. So everybody's on the same page with us.
Yeah. So we want to, instead of, like we mentioned, dispo, if we have to go to a Kegley, that's the last resort. Same thing with Gator. If we have to go to an external Gator, we can, but we'd rather anybody that signed a JV agreement, anybody that's actually doing workflow within our system, that they can get that extra little perk as opposed to going outside our walls.
Correct.
Same thing with transaction coordinator. Now with transaction coordinator, there's a lot of people that signed up for transaction coordinator and for other workflow, but that's a pretty heavy job, especially with the amount of workflow that we're looking to accomplish. So we really want people to just be in one position as far as that goes. It's not the same as being a Gator. There's a lot of work involved with being a transaction coordinator. So that's another job on the side, as opposed to those 4 levels. You can be a transaction coordinator or be in those 4 levels, but it's probably going to be too much for you to try to keep up the workflow of transaction coordinator and do one of those 4 levels. And we also noticed that a lot of people signed up for transaction coordinator that didn't have any experience. So one of the things that, and as well, people signed up for being dispo or a team leader that have no experience. So our goal is that to put you in at your experience level. So when you go to that form, we've changed up the fields a little bit so that you can only assign yourself for one of those roles based on your experience level. So please sign up for whatever experience level you're at, as opposed to thinking that you can just jump in and be a team leader or jump in and be a dispo manager. We want you to join. I've talked to people on the phone that are in here today that they have some experience doing fix and flips, but they prefer to start as a property finder because they're building their foundation. So even though they have other experience, starting at level 1 and working your way up builds you a super solid foundation so that, you know, as you become acquisition and dispo and then team manager, you know it solidly. And if you want to go and do your own thing later, you know, that's no problem, but you have this experience level that is totally solid at that point in time. All right, what other questions do we have in here? Let's see here. Did you see any others, Alex? I was talking and not reading.
Yeah, I'm trying to see where we left off at.
I see. What do we need to get started besides Privy? You know, Privy, a cell phone, internet connection. That's pretty much it.
Laptop, yeah, tablet. Doesn't matter too much on that end. I might have missed some too, Ralph, as we was talking. Mike.
Pamela said, just to be clear, we will not be using our own LLC. That's correct. When you're closing, when you're negotiating and closing a deal in acquisitions, you'll be using our LLC. So, and you know, our EMD funds, which will be basically initially through the Gators. You don't have to worry about your own LLC, your own funds at all. Unless you want to be a Gator. That's different.
Yeah,
Yes?
unless you want to be a Gator.
Yeah, Lynn?
Hey, Ralph. I think I saw somebody way up there, maybe Pamela asked about the working relationship with the company. Honestly, I jumped in a few minutes late, so if you covered that already, but it seems like she might have a question on that.
Is she on live? Could she unmute or?
Yeah, I think she's still on here, but maybe if you could just explain like the parameters of the working relationship 1099, like I think.
Yeah, it'll be a 1099 relationship. That is correct. So, yeah, we can pay you as a person, you as an LLC, whatever you prefer.
How long does a project really take? Get it done in 60 days?
But it's going to be a 1099 relationship.
The difference between those two.
Did that answer your questions, Lynn and Pamela?
Right. So we show you this information, and again, buyers.
I'm fine. I was just making sure that got covered because I figured if Pamela had that question, somebody else had that question.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a great question.
Let me just say something real quick. Curtis Johnson, buddy, mute your phone, please.
I'll just do that.
How you doing? How's everybody doing today?
Good, good. How are you?
Okay, good. I was wondering what areas will we be targeting? I mean, is it is it how many? Is it a lot of areas or is it kind of limited?
We have our eyes on 6 markets to start, and as we grow, we'll be expanding into other markets. Alex, you want to rattle them off?
Yeah, can somebody mute their phone over the computer? There you
All right,
go.
go ahead.
What was the question? What locations?
Yeah, 6 markets.
Okay, so we'll be in Jacksonville, Atlanta, Dallas, Phoenix, Memphis, and Tampa. Those would be your 6.
Anybody else have a question? That maybe we missed them in the
Yeah,
chat,
the
please.
number scrolling, yeah.
Raise your hand if you want to.
There you go.
Okay, I see Yennefer. What is your question?
Hi, good evening. So I want to ask, would we be using like a specific type of contract or stuff like that to get these houses, get these properties on the contract, like a set model that you guys are going to provide?
Yeah, so, depending on this is all on market. What we're doing, our initial channel is all on market. So we're gonna need to use legal MLS contracts. And, we can use what the agents have, but if we're going to develop as well a creative finance side of this thing. So we will have different contracts depending on what we run into. But the majority of what we're looking for at this point in time is going to be your basic fix and flip properties. So, we'll be working with the typical MLS contracts and just making sure the right clauses are in them.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Jason? Jason Williams?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I was looking or really thinking in the future, long term, probably not now, would we be looking into going to the commercial side of things, or just strictly sticking with single family residences?
No, yeah, that is definitely something we're looking at, multifamily in particular. But there's other opportunities in commercial that we see as a solid type of opportunity. This business itself is simply wholesale. So even if we're getting into multifamily, it'll be wholesaling multifamily. We do have plans for establishing a multifamily holding company. I should say cash flowing company.
Cash flowing, yeah. Correct.
We're not there now. Right now, we're just this business is only for wholesale, but we do plan on adding in that commercial element to it down the road.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Belinda.
Hi, everyone. I put my question in the chat, but if we are working part-time as a property finder, will we need to submit the offers or the deals before the end of the day or a certain time of the week? Or
yeah, you can work your whatever works for you as far as when you're doing offers. Of course, there'll be time zones that you need to take into account the agent that you're talking to. So part of being a property finder is talking to the agents. You'll need to call them up, ask them about the property, build a little bit of rapport, let them know more, where you're at with your numbers, because a lot of times they don't understand all the costs involved with fix and flips, like the holding costs, the money costs, the double close. We have to close, the buyers have to close to buy it, and then they have to close to sell it after it's rehabbed. They don't get a lot of times all the numbers involved. So sometimes you'll have to talk to the agents to help them understand those numbers, so they don't just look at you as like, man, look at them putting in this lowball offer, right? So when that comes through to them, they're more likely to pass that off to the seller and get a better response. As well, we can do, a double dip strategy for the agent so that they'll be more likely to work with us. Talking on the phone with an agent is critical. So as far as the time frame that you work, it just needs to work with the agents so that you can actually talk to them. And then after you do that, then you'll be able to put in your offer into our system. But that time frame, it's no set time. It's just whatever works for you and for the agents.
okay, yeah, that's my biggest problem with working during the day. Is like I'll make some phone calls during my break, but I have to leave a message, and then if they do call me back or message, I'm working during that time. So it's a challenge, but I'll try my best to work around it.
Yeah, working during the break is really, really hard. If you can, I don't know what your work schedule is, but either establish 1 or 2 hours after or 1 or 2 hours before, you'll have a lot more success than trying to do it during your break.
Okay. Yeah, I work 9 to 5. I was just thinking, like in my time zone, I don't know if agents work all 24 hours or they have the cutoff at 5 or.
No, agents are not 9 to 5 people. So you should be fine, calling them up after you get back from work.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Lorna.
Hello, so I'm actually Raymond. Had to borrow my mom's computer because mine crashed. I was just wondering, I'm now starting out, so I'm definitely going to be a property finder, but I have spoken to some buyers already. If I can bring something from a dispose side, how does that work out?
Yeah, so we have our own pool of buyers, and if anybody's working in dispo, the idea behind this is that we are all helping each other. So we don't want people to come in feeling like they're guarding things. We're going to open up, for anybody in dispo, they can all use the same pool of buyers. So if you want to come in as a dispo and you want to bring in your list, we welcome that. The idea behind this is that we're all helping each other. Does that make sense, Lorna?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. Curtis.
Okay, I'm not going to have these questions, but okay. So the role of the the property finder is to talk to agents. Okay, what about the other roles of the acquisitions person? What is their role? They're not going to be speaking with agents, or how's that going to work?
So the acquisitions, first with the property finders, they have 2 objectives.
Mm-hmm.
1 is building rapport with the agents, and 2 is putting in offers. Okay. Next is acquisition. Acquisition's role is, again, building rapport with agents, and then negotiating and closing the contracts.
Okay.
So they create the contracts.
Okay.
The idea behind the rapport is dual. Number 1, it'll be easier to get those contracts if we built rapport. But secondly, we are building an agent referral system as we go. So you may have noticed when we talked about some of the others like Ryan and Mahmood, Ryan has an agent referral system, and that's how he makes most of his money. And that's, that we're trying to hit both sides of this. Number 1, our deals directly from the MLS that we're able to negotiate and close. But number 2, get those pocket listings. So that's what the acquisition manager does. He negotiates and closes, and he helps to build rapport for that agent referral.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that's what I was just curious about. So basically, if I'm going to be the property finder, I need to be talking to agents. Okay. And put in offers. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Thank you, Curtis. Rob. How you doing, man? Rob, can't hear you. I'm not sure what's happening with your volume or your microphone.
How about now?
I can hear you now.
Fantastic. It was great talking to you earlier. I have a little bit of a high-level question. So, as you guys know, I do a little bit of the elephant training, and I have a Zoom that I hold every week, and I have a community that I'm building there too. How do I incorporate those people into some of this? I'm sure some of them would like to be involved. How do I bring them over? I'm not really advertising a job here. It's something that maybe they would be interested in having them look into.
Yeah. Alex, can you put that link into our chat? It's basically fatjuicydeals.com/join-our-team. So that's where they first, if they show interest, and the way we're going to do it in the future is everyone will go there, and instead of filling out the current form that's there, they'll have a chance to sign up for this Zoom. So we'll have this Zoom every week where people we'll give them the same training. We'll do the Q&A, and then from there they can go to the second link where they actually say, yes, I want to work with you.
So it will be okay for me to sort of send people toward this as an
Oh,
option?
absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
That's all I had. Everything sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. We appreciate
Of
you, man.
course.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, no problem.
I was just in the chat, so I'm still here.
And Curtis, you still got your hand up? Was there another question?
No. Sorry, let me take my hand down. Sorry about that. Sorry.
No problem.
I didn't mean to.
Allison.
Well, while I'm here though, let me ask this now.
Okay.
When we're submitting offers, how do we know? Is there a way that we got to follow back up on them with the agents, or that's down the line?
So those that are submitting offers, that's their sole job. I mean, building rapport, submitting offers. The acquisition team are the ones that are doing all that follow-up. So
Okay, so I
we're
don't need
using,
okay, all right,
yeah,
okay,
we're
gotcha. I'm
using
just
a
yeah.
CRM that will help us to do the follow-up. So we
Okay.
don't, just let things go. We'll be able
Right,
to do a drip campaign to keep coming back, even if they don't accept this offer. Well, maybe they'll be willing to talk in a couple of months.
Okay.
So that all falls on the acquisition side.
Got it. That's what I need to know. So I just put in the offer and that's it, let it go. And then somebody else will follow up or whatever else. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sir. No more questions. Sorry. No more questions. Sorry.
No worries at all, Curtis.
No worries. And
Allison,
that's what the flow is of the system, the CRM that we're gonna have. Every deal finder is gonna have a web form that they're gonna fill out. And once that web form is input into the CRM, that's when the acquisition and disposition will take over. So your team leads, they'll run that through the system. And once it closes, everybody be notified at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I clicked on Allison. I think she had her hand up, but I don't see her now.
I'm here. I'm still here.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
I just wanted to, I apologize for coming in late, but I don't know, these last 2 days, my sleep has been totally off. I missed Rob yesterday. So my question is, do I have access to the Zoom from yesterday? And will I have access to this Zoom so I can go back and look at what I missed?
Yeah, so this Zoom, I can speak for this Zoom. I'm not sure which Zoom you're talking about for yesterday, but we will send out the replay of this Zoom.
Okay, I'm talking about Rob's. He said he does a Zoom every week and I missed his yesterday.
Yeah, I'll it's in my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Just find me on YouTube. I only have like 3 or 4 videos, but the
right.
replays are there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, Jason.
Yeah, I had another one. Since you mentioned the CRM, is that going to be something that everyone would have access to, or at least be able to kind of look in and see as far as what deals are kind of in what position and what status?
Everyone, well, the property finders will have a web portal, but then the acquisition, disposition, team managers, they'll all be internal, as well as the what do you call it, transaction coordinators, they'll all be internal. RE Simply is the CRM that we're using, and you'll be able to see what you need to for your role. So for acquisitions, they'll be able to see the acquisition side, but not the disposition side. So, it'll be set up specifically for your functionality.
Okay.
All right, Yennefer.
Sorry to go in again, but so you mentioned that if you cannot find a buyer of the list that you guys have, you would go to something named Kegley. I don't know who they are. And then if you do that, our intake or commission would be less, right?
That's correct. So Kegley is basically a dispo company. And have you heard of Astro?
Yes.
Jamil. So he's the one that started that. And it's a national business where he has franchises in different states that are set up primarily as a dispo arm. So they do other things, but that's their, one of their main focuses is helping people to dispo their deals. There's other dispo arms as well out there that we could also turn to, but the idea is that we dispo it internally as much as possible. And as we develop our team, as we grow our dispo list in these different markets, we're going to be dispoing more and more deals. And a good dispo manager, he'll be able to locate, even if it's not within our system already, he'll know how to go out and find a buyer. If it's a good deal, a buyer will typically be found. So our aim is to have them all, as much as possible, internal. But if for some reason that aim wasn't met, maybe it's a really tough deal to dispo for some reason, well, maybe a third party might be able to dispo for us if we can't do it internal. But the idea is that we dispo everything internal if at all possible. Because that's, we don't want our paychecks to be cut in half. Everyone's paycheck would be cut in half if it has to go external. And that's not what we want. We want it all to be internal if at all possible.
Correct.
So if it goes to them, it would be half. What if that, because some of the ones that are going to start as finders, some of them have mentioned that they know buyers or they have buyers. Can that the end goal be like asking the person that brought in the deal, the finder, like, hey, do you have a buyer? Can you find us a buyer for this deal, instead of outsourcing and getting cut off that 50%?
Can you repeat your question? I don't think I followed.
Let's say if I have a buyer, right?
Mhm.
Let's say I'm a finder, but I have a buyer, but I leave all the process to our team, right? Because this is who I'm working with now with you guys, right? But at the end, my deal doesn't go through and you guys are going to outsource to Keegley. Instead of doing them, can't you call me and say, hey, Jennifer, we're going to have to go to Keegley. Do you have a buyer that you think might be interested in this? And then this way we don't get a 50% cut off everyone's deal.
Right. Yeah. If you have, any of you have buyers that you want to add to our database, we would really appreciate that. And if already you have a buyer, we can just input it into the database right away. So we want our database to be as robust as possible. And we want it to be relationship built on both sides of this. So as we're building our agents for agent referrals, we're also building our relationships with buyers. So that it's, if you have a warm relationship with a buyer, it's a lot easier to dispo. So we can blast it out to our list, but the idea is that you're also calling. So, you've got your A list and you're after you blast the list out, you say, hey, we just sent you this. We'd love to give it to you. And here's why. And, so that relationship it's not just a cold email or a cold text message. It's much more warm. But anybody that wants to contribute to that, it will be mutually beneficial for everybody.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Any other questions? All right, so I'm going to put into here again the link for Count Me In. If anyone is interested, they can go there and sign up. And I think that's about it. If someone wrote a question in the chat that we missed, please feel free to raise your hand and or unmute yourself and we can answer that question right now. All right, thank you everybody for taking